Walk into any Sephora, and the lighting is working on you before you touch a single thing. Everything is backlit. The jars have weight in your hand, that deliberate heaviness that reads as quality before you have registered a single ingredient. Somewhere near the skincare wall, a person in black is already halfway to telling you your barrier is compromised, and it just so happens there is a $300 cream for that. Here is what nobody at that counter is paid to say out loud. Most of what sits on those shelves is a decent formula wearing an expensive costume. A small part of it is genuinely worth the money. And the price tag will not tell you which is which, because it was designed to do the opposite of that. So today I am handing you 8 of the products I would quietly put back down. And for each one, the cheaper bottle that does the same job. Not vague, just shop the drugstore advice. The specific swap, named, so you can walk in next week and stop paying for the box. If you have ever stood in that store feeling slightly stupid for not knowing the code, subscribe to the powder room. That feeling is the whole business model, and we take it apart every week. But first, one thing. Because without it, none of this actually changes how you shop. When you buy skincare, you are paying for 2 separate things that have almost nothing to do with each other. One is the formula, the actual ingredients touching your face and doing the work. The other is everything wrapped around it, the glass, the scent, the name on the front, the small lift you get when you lift the lid. The industry's cleverest trick is convincing you those two are the same thing, that a heavier jar means a better mixture inside, that a higher price signals a higher grade of ingredient. It does not. A brilliant formula fits in a $9 tube. A dull one comes in frosted glass for $90. Once you can hold those two things apart in your head, the pricing in that entire store stops working on you. And these 8 are where that gap is widest. Number 8. The Luxury Vitamin C Serum. Start with the one my hand always drifts back to the shelf on. A Prestige Vitamin C. $60, $80, sometimes north of $100 for a small amber bottle. And almost the entire pitch rides on a single word. Stabilized, said the way you would say, bah. Here is what gets me about it. Vitamin C, plain L-ascorbic acid, is one of the cheapest active ingredients in the whole industry. What you are actually buying in the expensive version is the packaging, the delivery system language, and the promise, not the molecule. The molecule is the molecule. Reach instead for a straight L-ascorbic acid serum from one of those brands whose label reads like a chemistry exam instead of a perfume ad. Same active, a similar concentration, a few dollars a bottle. Yes, it oxidizes a little faster, goes slightly yellow sooner, because nobody spent marketing money engineering that away. So you keep it out of the sun and you use it up instead of letting it sit pretty on a shelf. That is the whole difference, and it costs you roughly 1/10 of the price. You are not getting a weaker result. You are getting the same result without the ceremony. Number 7. The $300 Barrier Cream. This is the one that genuinely gets under my skin. A thick cream in a heavy jar, sold on a small fear. That your barrier is broken, damaged, in need of repair, and that only this particular formula can rebuild it. Turn the jar over, and the 2 ingredients doing the work are ceramides and a little niacinamide. Both are good. Both are also the exact ingredients in a plain drugstore tub that costs about $12 and gets handed out by dermatologists precisely because it is boring, unglamorous, and cheap enough to actually recommend. There is no such thing as a luxury ceramide. The molecule your skin uses to hold its barrier together is the same whether it arrived in a spa jar or a plastic pot from the pharmacy aisle. What the expensive version adds is weight, fragrance, and the quiet feeling that spending more must mean caring more about yourself. The cheap tub does the same repair, and more often than not it leaves out the fragrance that was subtly irritating you to begin with, which is worth stopping on, because fragrance keeps turning up in these bottles for a reason. And the reason is not your skin. Fragrance is one of the most documented triggers of skin irritation there is, and low, constant irritation the kind you do not even notice day to day, is one of the quiet things that ages skin faster over time. Every time your skin is inflamed, it is under a little stress. And sustained stress wears down the very barrier you are spending all this money to protect. The counter drowns its products in scent because scent sells the experience. It makes $90 feel like $90. But if your skin has gotten more reactive as you have gotten older, that beautiful smell may be working against you every single time you use it. Keep that in mind for the next one. Number 6. The Designer Glow Essence. The essence in the beautiful bottle. The one that promises glass skin and smells like a spa afternoon and photographs perfectly on a marble counter. Read the back of it. It is mostly water, a humectant like glycerin or hyaluronic acid, and a fragrance blend doing almost all of the emotional lifting. The swap here is almost comedic. A basic hyaluronic acid serum, a few dollars, handles the hydration part completely. Because hydration is just pulling water into the skin and holding it there, and hyaluronic acid does exactly that regardless of what it cost. If you want the slip and the scent and the ritual of it, understand that is precisely what the extra $40 buys. Not better hydration, the slip and the scent. Some people genuinely want that, and honestly that is fine. As long as you know that is the trade you are making. You are buying a candle you can put on your face. And going back to what I just said, for skin that has turned reactive, the fragrance you paid a premium for is frequently the exact thing setting it off the next morning. Number 5. The Prestige Retinol. Now we move to the anti-aging shelf, where the markups get bold and the boxes get very serious. A luxury retinol, packaged like a piece of lab equipment from a film about the future, priced to match. I will give the category this. Retinoids are one of the very few anti-aging ingredients with real, repeated, boring in a good way evidence behind them. They actually do smooth texture and soften lines over time. That part is true and worth your attention. What is not true is that the version that works has to be expensive. A basic drugstore retinol does the job, and a cheap over-the-counter adapalene, the one that used to require a prescription and now sits on a shelf for around $15, is arguably stronger and better studied than most of what the counter is selling for 10 times as much. The rule with all of them is the same. Start slow, 2 nights a week, let your skin build up to it, and pull back if you get raw. Your face has no idea whether the tube costs $9 or $90. It reads the molecule and nothing else. Number 4. The Luxury Eye Cream. Eye cream is where the trick is almost too clean to be angry about. A tiny jar, a serious price, and a promise built entirely on the idea that the delicate skin around your eyes needs something special and separate from the rest of your face. Here is the open secret the category is built on. Most eye creams are just moisturizer in a smaller, more expensive jar. The skin around your eyes is thinner, that is real, but thinner does not mean it needs a different chemistry. It needs gentle hydration, and in the daytime it needs sun protection, and that is genuinely most of the story. A fragrance-free moisturizer you already own does the job. If you want an actual targeted active, a niacinamide serum patted gently along the orbital bone costs a few dollars and does more for the look of dark circles than most products sold for that exact purpose. What you are really paying for with a luxury eye cream is the smallness of the jar, which is a strange thing to pay a premium for when you think about it plainly. Number 3. The Boutique Exfoliating Toner. The Pretty Acid Toner. Minimalist label, cult following, sold on the idea that it resurfaces and refines your skin quietly while you sleep, so you wake up looking like you did something expensive. The active in it is almost always glycolic or lactic acid, sometimes a little salicylic for people who break out. These acids are cheap, extremely well understood, and available in a plain bottle from the same honest, unglamorous brands doing the vitamin C from earlier. A few dollars gets you the same acid at the same strength. The expensive toner is not resurfacing you better. It is resurfacing you more expensively, with a nicer object left sitting on your bathroom shelf. Whichever one you buy, Use it 2 or 3 nights a week, and not every single night, because more is not the goal here, and a stinging, red face is not a sign it is working. It is a sign you overdid it. Number 2. The high-end cleansing balm. The cleansing balm in the elegant tub, sold as the first step of a ritual, the thing that melts the day off your face in slow circles. The idea underneath it is genuinely good, which is the frustrating part. An oil-based balm dissolves makeup and sunscreen, and the day's buildup without stripping your skin the way a harsh foaming wash does. And that stripping, done daily to skin that is already drier and more reactive, is one of the more damaging small habits you can have. So the concept is sound. The concept is also old and cheap. A basic cleansing balm, or frankly a plain jar of petroleum jelly, massaged in and wiped away with a warm cloth, does the melting part completely and leaves your skin clean but not tight, not squeaky, not stressed. What the luxury version adds on top is scent and a nicer texture, not more cleaning power. Your skin ends up equally clean either way. Only one of the two options also asked you for $50 in exchange for the feeling. Number 1. The Prestige Moisturizer. And the one at the very top, the moisturizer that anchors the entire luxury shelf. The heavy cream, the iconic jar people photograph, the number on the tag that is supposed to signal quality all on its own, with no argument attached. Strip the story away, and a moisturizer has one core job. It seals water into your skin, so it does not evaporate overnight and take your texture and your fine lines' worst behavior with it. The things that do that sealing, occlusives and humectants, are not rare and they are not expensive. A rich drugstore cream, the kind that has sat quietly in the same tin or tub on the same shelf for decades, does the exact job the Prestige jar is charging 5 times more to perform. It is sitting in your grandmother's bathroom in the old photographs. It has never once been fashionable, and that is the single reason it is still affordable. A product does not survive that long by accident. It survives because it works, and because nobody ever figured out how to make it feel special enough to overcharge you for. That is not a downgrade. That is the whole point. So, there they are. 8 things I would walk straight past, and 8 cheaper bottles that do the same work. The plain vitamin C, the boring barrier tub, the basic hyaluronic acid, the drugstore retinol, the moisturizer standing in for an eye cream, the honest acid toner, the simple balm, and the old reliable cream at the top. Put them together, and you have a complete routine. Cleanse, treat, moisturize, for less than the price of the single product that Counter wanted to sell you, with money left over for the one step that quietly outweighs everything else on this list, which is sunscreen, every single day. Because most of what you are trying to correct with these serums came from sun you did not protect against in the first place. No cream here, cheap or expensive, undoes an unprotected afternoon outdoors. One honest note before you go. Because cheap does not automatically mean good. There are bad inexpensive products, and there are genuinely excellent expensive ones. The skill is not always buy the drugstore version. The skill is knowing you are paying for 2 separate things, the formula and the theater, and training yourself to look at the ingredient list instead of the lighting. That one skill works in every aisle, in every store, for the rest of your life, and it is worth more than any single bottle I could ever name for you. If this was useful, do one small thing. Pick a single product from this list and swap it for something overpriced you are using right now. Give it a few weeks, and see if your skin actually notices the difference. Then leave a comment with the most expensive skincare product you have ever bought, and whether it truly beat the cheap version, because I read every one of them, and the pattern in those answers tells the real story better than any advertisement ever could. Subscribe to the Powder Room for more of these, the breakdowns the beauty aisle would rather keep coded. And next time I am taking this further, putting specific drugstore bottles head-to-head against the luxury ones they are nearly identical to, named ingredient for ingredient, including the one that goes up against a serum selling for over $300. That video is going to make a few people at that counter very uncomfortable. I will see you there.